Hey there, fellow horse lovers. Welcome back to the Daily Ride podcast. I am so excited to share part two of my first interview with Dr. Desi Draz of Silver Lining Animal Chiropractic. Dr. Desi is a talented chiropractic practitioner that has blessed me and my animals with her wisdom and her holistic care approach. True has really benefited and really enjoyed getting chiropractic treatments from Dr. Desi, and I've also taken my puppy to go see her as well. Juniper is so wiggly and was a little ornery, and so Dr. Desi literally straightened her butt out. Very much appreciated. I am so excited to get into more of the nitty gritty with Dr. Desi's experience as an animal chiropractor and how animal chiropractic relates to energetic, overall mental and physical well being, both for animals and the humans that love them. If you're in the Denver metro area, I wholeheartally recommend Dr. Desi and her chiropractic practice to your animals. Feel free to look her up at silverlininganimalchiro.com. That's silverlininganimalchiro.com. As always, the Daily Ride podcast supports my nonprofit, True Heart Healing. True Heart Healing's mission is to leverage the healing power of equine partnership and the joy of equine companionship to support and empower children with disabilities and/or life-altering illnesses, service members, veterans, and their families to help build stabilizing relationships, facilitate learning and personal growth, find hope, and discover purpose. If this sounds like something that you want to support, please head on over to www.the-daily-ride.com to check us out and make a donation. So, for you as a human, you knew that you could benefit from chiropractic care because of your migraines. How do you know when your animal needs chiropractic care?
I believe we all need it all the time, just for wellness, because, like I said, life, all of the things that can create those miscommunications in the nervous system. But there's the obvious physical signs where we see biomechanical changes in how they're moving, or them, vocally telling us something hurts or visually telling us something hurts by not acting the same, not being able to jump up into the car or onto the couch or down from things, or pausing to ask for help when they never have before, or again, more of the obvious things like not feeling well enough to eat and stuff like that. But I think we all know our animals so well that our gut tells us or gives us inclinations of subtle changes in behavior that I think kind of starts that trigger, like, huh, what's up with you? And then if those things continue to progress, then we look to ask more questions or get more answers where, chiropractors get called, vets get called or whatnot. Subtle things like changes in behavior that they do so like subconsciously, like when you notice them not doing it or doing something different, I think
Mhm.
is our first inclination. Um, to start asking those questions. I mean, things that I tell dog owners what to watch for, like when they're walking, are they walking in a straight line or are they crooked? When they sit, do they sit more into one leg or another? Do they always leave one foot sticking out? Does a knee cave in, or does one look like it sits higher than the other, whether they're in a sitting position or like a lying down position? It's a little bit easier to tell sometimes in one of those. And that just shows us some like subtle lack of range of motion that maybe we should get that looked at.
Hmm.
Um, Other things that I tell people to look for is, are they laying in the same position? Do they always lay on the same side? Or do they lay down and then get up again in a few seconds and like reposition themselves? Are they like constantly doing that sort of thing? I guess from like a dog or a cat perspective.
Hmm.
From cats, if they have something going on in their spine, they're when they're in a still position, their back will kind of twitch in the area of complaint, so to speak. And I think we see that, but we don't think anything of it because we think like, fly on the hair or whatever.
Right, as a horse owner, that's where my mind went.
Right. But if we watch for consistency with that, if it tends to be always in like the same position or the same spot on their body, that can be a really good indicator of that area is not feeling that great. And the body is like getting a signal like I need to twitch to try and like make this feel better or make it feel different. And so those can be subtle indicators in cats that they won't necessarily show you or complain about, but you can see it through repetition.
Interesting. I brought True to you as soon as I got the referral from my friend as a 2-year-old just turned 3-year-old. So she was quite
Yeah.
young. Do you find that horses or dogs and cats, I guess, benefit more from chiropractic during certain stages of life?
I think like they can really benefit as they're growing. I'm finding that I think like between 2 and 4, horses really go through a lot of like growth spurts, but also like growing pains in different ways.
Mhm.
Because none of their legs, none of their bones grow at the same length
Mhm.
or at the same time. So I think you were describing that True grows like butt first and then evens out. And I think we saw that in her body in the beginning. She really needed the support a little bit more frequent while she was really going through those growth spurts. And I think you and I were even kind of humming and hawing over like what's really going on here, like how much of this is did she do something, did she injure herself, or is this just an uncomfortable stage in her growth period. And so I find that in um, dogs as well, that I'll recommend a little bit more frequently when they're going through that more of that major or faster paced growing stages. And then if they're super athletic, I think throughout like most of their lives in the horse world, maybe more so, well, maybe not. I guess dogs, depending on how active they are, if they're like avid hikers with their owners or in like agility and things, more often just to keep them thriving so that they can do it well into their teens and 20s, versus burning their joints like burning out mid-age because they had extra stress on them from the spine not moving as well as it could.
Interesting.
And then I find that it as they're in the older stages of life when we're trying to manage pain from like arthritis pain, adjustments can be super helpful because every step or turn might be uncomfortable and that just creates a new signal for the brain to try and guard and protect. And within the central nervous system, the spinal cord, every readjustment creates a signal or a stimulus back to the spine to dampen pain. It's just an automatic thing that comes with a signal to the spinal cord at that nerve level. So the adjustment literally dampens pain on a neurological sense. That I find it really helps manage arthritis discomfort just by dampening those pain signals with all of the adjustments. And I think I can recognize that when I feel like I'm not doing a whole lot, but then the dogs are so much happier. They have so much more energy almost immediately after the adjustment, or the owners describe like they just do so well after your visits, even if I feel like I'm not doing much for them. So
Hmm.
it's really, it doesn't have to be a big wrenching, crunching adjustment to have that pain dampening or mobility change that makes them feel better, helps the body function better. So really
That's just
all
like
across life.
what Sage was telling you, like, more is not always actually more.
Absolutely. I learned that early in my career with a horse named Gypsy. I could not thrust on her. If I did, she would pin her ears, try and bite me, kick at me, like do everything. She wouldn't leave, but she would make it very, very clear that that force was not necessary. And if I just did a like setup for the adjustment and just held it very lightly. She would take a big breath in, a big exhale. I would feel it click and then licks and chews, drops the head, all the things, better range of motion. It just
Wow.
blew my mind. It changed my perspective on what an adjustment looks like and has to be,
Wow.
and listening to the animal and tailoring to what they need.
Okay. So I've seen you kind of do both with True, where like you've had to get in there and like physically move something back into place. Like you get up on the block to, get enough leverage. And I've seen you push, and she's tolerated that well. But I've also seen you hold your hands in a position and just breathe with her.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'll tap into the energetics of it more so as adjusting with intention, but without force. And it's crazy cool how the horses and the dogs respond to that.
Yeah. Okay, I have to ask. I also have 2 cats who are 12. Neither of them have seen a chiropractor. Do they tolerate chiropractic adjustments differently than, like, horses and dogs? Like, do you have to have a specific cat strategy? I feel like you probably would.
Yeah, a little bit. Like my cat now, I trained him that we would go sit in the bathroom and he would come sit on my lap and I would give him treats. And that's where we built up the ability for me to trim his nails in the bathroom whenever I need to, and where I started adjusting him. Again, like lots of very positive reinforcement with treats till we got to that point. And now he asks me, he chases me into the bathroom and it looks at me like, will you adjust me, please?
Can we do that thing?
So yeah, and he'll sit like he'll sit on my lap and I'll go through and kind of check things, and the tender ones he'll give me a little "Meh," or like look at me like, "Yep, that's the one." And then when he's done, I'll set him down, and if there's still something, he'll stop and look at me and just stay put. But if I had like gotten everything that he needed moved or straightened out, he would just trot off. Be like, "All right, thanks." So so he's a bit unique, but he's also mine. So he knows me, he trusts me. And so I have some cats that are like that. They're willing to just sit there and let me do the work and look at me like you're not done yet. And then I have others that are a little bit more on like the skittish side where it's really like work with the owner, give lots of love up front, and me just get in, get out, fix the things, let them go. Where those adjustments are like maybe 2 minutes long.
Before threats of homicide ensue.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, cats hold, I think, better than any other animal, at least in my experience, and they don't need as much. I don't know if that's because of how flexible and mobile they are that they don't end up as restricted as the rest of us, or if their lifestyle is just different than dogs and horses and the interactions we have with them. But it is a little bit of both. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it can be more, what do we need to work on here?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it totally makes sense that your cat's like, "Okay, you're here to fix my back for me, and once you've completed the task, like, okay, bye."
Yes, very much how they are.
Do you integrate other modalities such as massage or acupuncture, anything like that into your practice?
I definitely address the muscles that I find as I'm working through my typical joint checking process. I also use tuning forks, vibration tuning forks that help to kind of address the smaller muscles and ligaments along the spine, as well as provide some healing or balancing, grounding vibration to the bone itself because, as bones are malleable as much as we think they're not. They definitely are. So the vibration can help on that level.
I remember the tuning fork specifically when True had a reaction to a weed that had gotten baled up in her hay, and she had really bad edema. I mean, stocked up terribly, all 4 legs. And you had happened to come that week, and we mentioned it. We figured out the source, but got to the bottom of it. And you had handed me a tuning fork to hold on her hoof. And I'll admit
Nice.
I was a little skeptical, but also desperate to help her. So I'm like, I'll do anything as long as I feel like I'm doing something to help, right? Um, and it worked so well. I came back out the next morning and it was so much better improved. I was mind blown.
Yeah, it's really cool to use the tuning forks on the feet. It really helps with improving circulation. So I'm a huge fan of it with like navicular or laminitis situations, or even just horses that have shoes on because the foot doesn't have that ability to spread and pump and get the circulation like a barefoot foot would. But I learned that from my Reiki practitioner, the effects of improving circulation and helping with reducing inflammation with the use of the tuning forks. So I recommend that all the time. And it's something so easy and simple to do. And it just helps with the lymph flow and really just getting blood and interstitial fluid moving in those types of scenarios. I saw great results with it, the healing of my ankle when I broke it a few years ago, using the tuning
Hmm.
fork directly over the bone with swelling and pain. So I have implemented it even more since then because I saw and felt the benefits of it.
Have you tried it on migraines?
I have. I've even tried it with like nasal congestion, like sinus infection or a cold, over like the sphenoid or the glabella, and the over the mastoids when I've had a migraine that's kind of stemming from down behind the ear versus up on top of my head. I guess it kind of depends on where it is for me. I've definitely found it helpful from a congestion perspective. And the migraines, I mean, usually when I get a migraine, I'm doing so many things. So
Yeah, it's because
it's
you just
hard to
need it
say.
gone.
Yes, it's hard to say what has helped, but it's definitely felt good. It resonates with my body anyways and feels like this is helping on some level. I do think that it might help kind of shift the cranial bones a little and give my brain or whatever is feeling so inflamed or stimulating those pain receptors get some sort of shift and extra space to help produce that.
Interesting. Yeah, there's so many different factors that go into migraine or any kind of pain in general. And I appreciated that about your practice as a chiropractor because it's not just the spinal adjustment you do. You are really great about looking more holistically about what's going on and incorporating different aspects of care. Have you ever collaborated with vets, farrier specific trainers on a horse on their care team?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a couple trainers with a couple of their horses that they train or use for lessons, and it's interesting how the horses ridden by the same rider, the majority of the time, will have similar listings or similar findings, and that's kind of helped, I think, them see where they're impacting the horse's body and how they can like tailor what they're doing and their training style or equipment use or environment or stretches or whatnot, just to help kind of create balance and even getting themselves adjusted across all of their horses. I've been collaborating with a farrier in the area. Well, I chatted with so many, just trying to understand how the foot relates to the whole body, just on a deeper level. I've not had any like deep training of farrier work to the degree that a farrier is or had. They're specialists of the feet. I'm a specialist of the spine. So two most important things of a horse. So let's collaborate together and create the best foundation that we can. It's been really interesting to hear the difference between like barefoot trimmers and natural balance trimmers and shoers who work with disciplines or horses that really need the shoe for what they're doing and how that translates to how their bodies are moving. It's so complex and rewarding to be able to bounce information off of another professional who doesn't devalue the other parts of the body and
Yeah.
understands that we all work as a whole or all of it works as a whole and we all have different specialties in what we know. So let's collaborate and bring it together
Yeah.
for the sake of the horse or the animal in general.
Yeah. As you're explaining this, I'm thinking about that. I think I sent you this picture of the horse's skull that had a severe diagonal bite and it changed the structure of their jaw and
Yeah,
therefore the rest of their body. And I was sitting here thinking, like, man, how cool would it be if you could be in normal contact with not just farriers, but also like dentists?
right. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I would love that. That connection. I mean, the TMJ plays such a huge part in how the nervous system or how the brain interacts with its world, particularly dogs um, and horses or any animal, I guess, with us too. But I think our us having hands versus them having to do a lot of their navigating with their faces plays such a
Mm,
bigger part in how their whole body functions. I mean, we've seen that in gait analysis with dogs with different toys in their mouth, and we can do it with people too. And imagine there's something out there in the horse world too, related to the bit and how the horse is holding its jaw or holding its head really in regards to certain disciplines or the gear that they have on, and how that changes their movement
Mhm.
and their gait.
Yeah. Do you often have discussions with owners about their tack, like their setup, their saddle fit, things like that?
If I'm feeling like the tack is playing a part, I absolutely bring it up. Yeah, I'm no expert in saddle fitting, but if I'm noticing white patches along the top of the spine, particularly over the withers or along the top, if I can see the top line isn't very well developed and there's some white marks there, I'm always asking like, is this recent? Did you rescue the horse and they had these things? Or if like hair's being rubbed off in certain places. Oftentimes, if tack fits well, I don't find a lot of issues underneath the saddle, which is really nice. And so if I do find stuff more in the mid thoracic area, tack is something, or at least the saddle, I'll bring up in that situation. Same with the like upper lumbar area. If the skirt or of a western saddle, or if like the saddle pad is too long and kind of interferes with how the pelvis is moving, or if it just bumps it while the horse is moving that limb, steps is it taking with a hind limb where it could be bumping into it, and that can shift how comfortable the horse is, and then how where the horse is going to place that foot to try and avoid bumping into that tack. So I've had that conversation with some where we've changed from a square skirt to a rounded skirt, and that's made a difference.
Hmm.
Same with like cinchy horses. I'll find wither issues that then may relate to the tack, and oftentimes getting a better fitting saddle or looking at the saddle to make sure that the padding is even on both sides can really impact how well the withers are moving and how well the shoulders are moving, and then how comfortable they are being cinched or girthed. I've also found having some elasticity in the girth plays a really big part in wither discomfort.
Hmm. Interesting. It's amazing to me that you can tell whether or not there's like you're using a girth with elastic or Western cinch, that there's a connection with withers as well. I guess it makes complete sense. And I would also imagine you can tell if someone frequently gets on from the ground versus uses a mounting block.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, yes, I address that as often as I can. I think I used to hear, practice getting on both sides just to even it out, but I've also learned that there's a less impactful way to the spine of getting on the horse that can really limit some of that extra pull on one side or the other. But I'm always a fan of using a mounting block or anything where you can really get on the horse more balanced than really tugging 100 pounds to the left to
Yeah,
drag yourself
to
up
step up.
onto the horse. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. I'm gonna like look at my tack with new eyes now. Time for funny stories. Do you have a favorite like success story that you'd like to share with an animal?
Oh, I feel really cool one. It's the first one that came to mind. It was a dachshund that lost total function of her hind end. The owners were awesome. We met once a week for 8 weeks, and the progression was super cool. So when I first saw the dog, I saw it within 3 days of it getting injured, I believe, 3 or 5 days. So really close to the injury occurrence, which was awesome because the longer there's compression to a nerve, the longer it'll take to bring that back. And nerves can regenerate, but they take a long time. So when I first saw the dog, she had no function and no reflexes either, any of the lower limb reflexes, and in a ton of pain. So I worked with the vet in that regard to get inflammation down with prednisone. The cocktail was probably the typical prednisone, gabapentin, methylcarbamol. to help reduce pain, inflammation, and muscle spasms so that we could allow the body to shift out of that pain cycle. So, first visit, like absolutely nothing. Second visit, feeling better, less inflammation, back to eating, whatnot, but still no improvement in the back end. Maybe like a twitch of a foot every so often, they were recognizing. The next visit, reflexes were coming back, but still no like true function of the back legs, more twitching. The next visit, actual like she could move her feet. She couldn't like lift herself up yet, but more movement of both legs, all reflexes back. Next visit, she could kind of stand but was wobbly. Next visit, she was being able to take a few steps. And just every visit, there was just such a clear improvement. And we got her fully functioning, absolutely back to normal within like 8 to 10 visits.
Wow.
And it was just such a cool, really cool progression and example of what chiropractic can do. And they didn't do anything else besides the adjustments once a week and supporting her or supervising her so she wouldn't re-injure herself. So that was really cool to see it, just see what chiropractic could really do and how the body can regenerate. You can regain function.
Wow. That's a huge win. That makes me
Yeah.
really excited. So you saw her once a week. How often do you typically see patients?
In cases like that, once a week is ideal, if not more often, depending on the severity or the situation. But more wellness based, limp based, or injury based, probably every other week at the most frequent. Most maintenance visits or maintenance animals are every month or every other month.
Mhm.
And I think that the horses that I see once a month consistently are in the best shape. They've improved on so many levels. If an injury happens, they bounce back from it right away. There's very little to work on. They're not crabby and uncomfortable. They have less random vet visits, less likely to colic. And same with dogs. We just see them thrive in different ways. Like if I'm I've had consistency like once a month after 6 months or 8 months or just any sort of longevity. It's so interesting how many of them are like, it's like she's lost years. Like, oh, she used to do this behavior when she was a puppy and we haven't seen it in so long and now we're seeing it again. And that
Oh,
wasn't their intent. That's not why they called me, but they knew or recognized the value of the adjustment and they're seeing the body continually improve over time and just thrive even better as an older dog than maybe they did younger without the chiropractic.
so chiropractic is really like you've seen specific acute, like miraculous transformations, but it seems like it's more of a long game.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just supporting the body as often as we can to keep it thriving as best as possible.
We're going to take a quick break from this week's episode to talk about one of the Daily Ride podcast sponsors. So, you all know that I spend a lot of time around horses, which means when I get home, I want to get comfy and I want to get cozy, and I really need some good rest. And that's why I've been obsessed with my Cozy Earth sheets. And when I saw that Cozy Earth was a company that was willing to partner with the Daily Ride podcast, I squealed because I have been obsessed with the Cozy Earth pajamas that I have for months. So, I'm super excited to tell you about Cozy Earth and share an exclusive discount code with you. Their products are made from bamboo, so not only are they incredibly soft, like buttery soft, but they actually keep Tom and I pretty cool at night. We don't wake up sweaty anymore, just cool, dry, comfortable sleep, and they're very lightweight and durable. And listen, I'm not the only one who loves these sheets. Oprah has had Cozy Earth on her favorite things list 7 years in a row, and Kris Jenner swears by them too. They've even been called the world's softest sheets on The Talk, and honestly, I would have to agree. They also have the coziest bamboo pajama sets. I think I have 5 of them. And they are the perfect mix of elegant looking and also super comfy, stretchy, breathable. Basically, the kind of pajamas that you don't mind being seen in and don't want to take off. Cozy Earth has thousands of 5-star reviews, free shipping on orders over $50, and even a 100-night sleep trial so you can see for yourself. Plus, they back all of this with a 10-year warranty. So here's the exciting deal. I got the very best discount that they will offer, which is 41% off when you use my code THEDAILYRIDE at CozyEarth.com. 41% off the entire website. If you forget, just double check the link in the show notes down below. It will take you straight there. And it gets better. I earn a commission every time you use my code, so you are donating to True Heart Healing by shopping at Cozy Earth. It's a win-win. You get their best discount. My commission goes to True Heart Healing, and you get to enjoy the best sheets and pajamas ever. Head on over to www.cozyearth.com and remember to use my code, THEDAILYRIDE, at checkout for 41% off the whole website. Now let's get back into it. Do you have a favorite animal client or a funny encounter you'd like to share?
Oh, I have some sweethearts of clients that I just want to take home. There's like a he's a 110-pound um pit bull named Tank, and he is just the biggest lapdog, lovey-dovey creature that, oh my gosh, my heart just melts every time I see him. Like he's so sweet. And it's funny because most people have this negative perspective of pit bulls, but he's just such a good example of like the sweetest teddy bear inside this big scary looking body. All 110 pounds of him. Um, and I have a favorite horse. Her name is Rose, and I love her attitude really. Like she's just very blunt and I'm going to tell you how I feel, but such a sweetheart at the same time. And I'm more a fan of geldings in general for my preference in what I would own, but she's just so fun to work on and work with that some everyone kind of picks on her a little bit like Rose, just Rose being Rose, but she is just so sassy but not in a mean way
Mhm.
and just very expressive when I'm working on her body. And
Mhm.
I don't know why some of them just like grab me like, yep, I would take you home if I could. Or if you need somewhere to go, you can come home with me.
Oh, I'm sure there's something energetic going on there too, that unconditional positive regard.
Absolutely. We're meant to interact on some level. And what are we giving and receiving to each other? That's what I love
Yeah.
about working with animals.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, what advice would you give to horse owners who are considering looking into chiropractic care for the first time?
Just try it, was what I heard my inside say. I think like shop around. I find that the best referrals are word of mouth referrals, and especially in the horse world, like talk to people you trust and find out who they've used and what their thoughts are, what improvements or changes they saw in their animal. Because I do think that there's good and bad of people in any profession. And I think sometimes we may run into situations where chiropractic doesn't get looked highly upon because of a vet's perspective or maybe what we see on social media and how scary it might look, but it doesn't have to be. And oftentimes it's not. And trust your gut. I've had so many people that have told me stories of like, I've had people out to work on my horse, and my gut was just like, I don't like this human or this person, and this just doesn't feel right, but I want to get my animal care. And their gut proved to be right on one level or another. So there's no rush into any of it, and really just trust your gut and do your research first versus just calling any person, or call and ask it to talk to the person before. I mean, I've really enjoyed getting to know the human before we even set up an appointment with their animal to see if our viewpoints are in alignment, and if we think it's going to work out, because I think energetic presence is a huge aspect of how responsive the body's going to be to any type of care that we get anywhere. If we're not feeling it, it's not going to be as productive as if we're really liking it, if the body responds. And I think we know it, we just don't know that we know it. That makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that intuition or the gut feeling with like, am I aligned with this person?
Yeah,
Limits
yeah,
how much help you can receive from them.
exactly. And I don't think that there's, anything wrong with being like, this just doesn't feel right for me. Absolutely not. And I think it would be awesome if every professional could have that level of like, yeah, if it's not working, here, try this person, or um, not having the ego be present in the ultimate goal of helping the animal to the best of its ability. So I
Right.
think sometimes we stumble into that in the horse world a little bit more than we'd like.
Yes, unfortunately, although it's pervasive in life, I think, as a human. Are there specific accreditations, experience, things like that that people should consider looking for when they're shopping around for an animal chiropractor?
Yeah, so in Colorado, you have to be licensed to work on animals, and you can look that up on, I think, the DORA, the Department of Regulatory Agency's website. You can like search the professionals and like look up the license. So I know that there are people who will, I don't know if they call it chiropractic, but will do some adjustments, maybe even vets out there that will do some sort of manipulation, but I don't know how much training they have. And I think anytime I've heard of injuries, it's been by somebody who hasn't had some professional training. So there are three schools that Colorado approves to be able to get licensed. So there are options out there for people to take if they really want to pursue that level of it. But I do think it's worth looking into just so you know what type of or how educated the professional is that will be doing chiropractic specifically on the animals. And so my lettering is CVSMT, so Certified Veterinary Spinal Manipulative Therapy. And there's also CAC, Certified Animal Chiropractor. So there's two
Mm,
different letterings for the same level of schooling and licensure. So you can look for that at like behind people's names or call and ask, really. But I do think it is important on the chiropractic perspective because you can do manipulations wrong and create injury. And I do think it takes a lot to actually cause injury, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of a scary place to dabble.
yeah, yeah, and I think if you're someone who's an animal owner looking into chiropractic care to help benefit their animal, the last thing you wanna do is hire someone that it does the opposite accidentally.
Right. And I believe the schools have connections, like a list of people or practitioners in your area based on which school they graduated from. So there's ways to find certified chiropractors. I think from a layperson, I would probably Google it and then ask, what is
Okay.
your licensure? What is your schooling? And that's probably the most direct way to get that information.
Yeah, yeah. Are there stretches or specific exercises horse, dog, cat owners could do at home to help support their animal's spinal health?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, there's really any stretching is great as long as we're doing it with the body and not against the body. I think because they're smaller animals or smaller bodies, that us trying to encourage stretching or massage can be more than what the body's able to accommodate on a relaxation level. So there's tons of exercises out there. I think that they're all very tailored to, or I guess saying which ones would I recommend would be tailored to the individual animal. I love the side bending carrot stretches between the legs, carrot stretches, belly scratches or butt scratches where you're asking the torso to lift, and then just stretching the forelimbs and the hind limbs forwards and backwards within the allowance of the animal, working with the animal. So those ones are, or that question I think is a little bit easier to answer between like the individual animal and the owner, and which ones might be more specific or appropriate to them in that situation.
Yeah. And I feel better asking my horse to stretch herself to the best of her ability.
Yes.
Like I with my little puppy, I mean she's little, she's 30 pounds now. um
Oh, geez. She's gotten
You
big.
saw her when she was little, a little peanut. Because she's so much smaller than me, like, I would worry about, like, stretching her too far, and so I like the point that you brought up where it's asking the animal to perform the stretch or the movement as independently as possible, it sounds like, so they can work with their own body and with their own allowance, and we're not asking them to pull or bend in a way that's too much.
Yeah, and one of the best methods out there, I think that can be really attainable for horse owners to learn is called the Masterson method.
Mm,
It is an energetic connection with your animal, but it starts very, very light and low force, where it really helps teach you how to listen to the animal's body on what does it need in order to relax and get that stretch or that release. And there's like he's got a whole program you can watch free YouTube videos, but that is one of my favorites to recommend to people.
are you able to do that on dogs too, I would imagine?
I would imagine it might have to be tailored a little bit more to the types of behaviors, like the relaxation signs that we would see in a dog compared to a horse.
Mm,
And I think it'd probably be a little bit trickier to do because of how high energy they are. If you can
yes.
catch that moment where they're like chilling on the couch, I think you can apply some of those techniques to a dog or a cat. But I think the Masterson method is really, I mean, it's more formulated for horses, are a little bit easier to grasp at
Mhm.
first
Yeah.
because they're more obvious with their signs.
Yeah, and they're so sensitive to energy and presence. So, yeah.
They go a little bit slower for you, so
Yeah.
we have time for our human brains to catch up.
Yes. In closing, is there one thing you wish more animal owners knew about chiropractic care?
How versatile it can be. It's not The benefits aren't limited just to injury or stiffness or aging. I hear all the time, like, oh, they're not old enough for chiropractic yet. And that is such a myth because our bodies, if we're well adjusted when we're young, that just extends the life into more years or better aging and can help with digestive issues and allergies and behavioral situations. So it's not just physical movement, but it can really just help the overall being thrive.
And I think that makes sense because being born is quite a traumatic stress on your body for mammals.
Yeah, the first most traumatic event in our lives is birth. Yeah,
Yeah.
5 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 5 minutes after birth. Yeah, get the body checked as soon as you
Hmm.
can.
Yeah. Very interesting. That's a great message. And I think it reflects in your care that I've seen you provide to my personal animals and how holistic you are of your approach.
And I think doing the care so early in their growing ages, they're going to need it less often through their younger or middle parts of life and then won't need it as much in the later parts in life where their body needs a little bit more support. I think it really just start off good, and it's all about preventing and maintaining what we have because we start
Yes.
aging as soon as we're born.
Yeah. Well, I've learned so much from you from this conversation, and I've deeply appreciated the care you've shown to my animals and myself as your client. And I'm just thrilled that we were able to cross paths. And thank you so much for taking the time today.
Absolutely. I love the opportunity just to kind of dabble in thought and reminisce on clients and on a different level that I don't always get to on a day-to-day basis. So this has been fun.
Thank you so much for listening to part two of my interview with Dr. Desi Draws. If this conversation was one that you enjoyed, please make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. Please leave a review, please like, and we would love to hear some feedback as to specific topics that we may have scratched the surface of during this interview that you would love to hear more about. That would be really helpful. As always, I'm thankful for your time and listenership. And until the next time, enjoy the ride.